Welcome to Around the Kinky Campfire. Grab a seat, pour a drink, and let's turn up the heat. This is the podcast where we explore the wild, wonderful, and sometimes wicked world of kink, BDSM, and alternative lifestyles. Whether you're a seasoned player, a curious newbie, or just here for the stories, we've got something for you. Join us on Thursdays on your favorite podcast platform as we share experiences, dive into deep discussions, and may even spark a little fire of your own. No shame, no judgment, just real talk around the kinky campfire. Let's get lit. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Around the Kinky Campfire. This is your host, Julius Marquise, aka HH Julius, if you're feeling less fancy, or just Julius, that works too. And I have another episode here for you with another enlightening topic, enlightened topic. Another topic for you. It is related to the alternative lifestyles. That's what we do here at Around the Kinky Campfire. And before we begin, campsters know it is the ASMR, like 2 seconds now. I have another beverage that is not sponsored. Adult beverage. Nope. It's for grown-ups. Something like that. Yeah, YouTube, get out of here. And you'll know that it's not sponsored. It rhymes with tequila. Once again, it has carbonated stuff in there, not carbonated stuff, and a little bit of ice. So we'll see how cold it is. All right, let's start the ASMR in 3, 2, 1. Oh, it was a little bit longer than last time. Oh, but it's still cold. Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, man, that's cold. Okay, here we go. We're going to jump into this topic. And it's one topic that we know very well here on Around the Kinky Campfire, and it is non-monogamy. Okay, this will be structured as Intro to Non-Monogamy. This is another class I plan on teaching, so y'all will get a little snippet here before I run out of time, because of course I have so much information to go through and not a whole lot of time. But I implore you, campsters and newbies alike, to do your own research. I present to you facts along with my opinions and experiences. But once again, do not just go off of what I say. Go ahead and do your own research, and hopefully you will learn about yourself as well. I'm not here to debate, so this is not a pro or against non-monogamy. It is hopefully here to enlighten you all people, to help hopefully figure out what you like in your relationship orientations. Okay? It's an intro class, so I'm not just going to teach you about non-monogamy. I'm going to let you know what you're going to be getting yourself into and stuff to consider in the meantime, okay? All right, so a lot of people like to say consensual or ethical non-monogamy, which is just stupid, because we wouldn't say consensual or ethical monogamy. Hopefully you're doing it with consent, and everybody knows what's going on and agrees to it. That is the biggest thing when we're talking about relationships. If you're not being consensual and everybody participating doesn't know what you're doing, that's called cheating, people. Yes, you can cheat in non-monogamy. So don't be one of those people who's like, can you cheat? Yes, you can. If they ask that question, enthusiastically say yes. Now, what the thing is in non-monogamy is that those of us that participate in the lifestyle, yes, it is a lifestyle and an orientation, I would argue. So as far as I'm concerned, you're kind of born monogamous or non-monogamous. You can practice either one. You go ahead and try it out like you do your sexual orientation. You can try stuff out, see if it fits you or not. Welcome newbies and experienced people alike into the world of non-monogamy. But we believe that one person cannot check all your relationship boxes. That is 100% something that is not possible. So those of us that participate in non-monogamy have multiple partners because there's a myriad of reasons that you could have a partner for, and doesn't all have to be one person. May seek out variables like sexual attraction, romance, parenting, and lifestyle among different partners. So, like I just said, does it have to be just one thing? And a lot of people have to relate it to sex. This is why non-monogamous people get into this situations, and that is not true. Not just sexual. I am on the A spectrum, so not all my partnerships are sexual in nature. And that is not even my motivation in getting into a relationship. That's just an added benefit, icing on the cake type situation. A person might have one partner that they co-parent with. Yep, that's another thing. Another who helps them explore their sexuality. And a third who simply shares the interest in rock climbing. That is what this article says. Hopefully I remember to put the source material in the descriptions of the podcast and on the YouTube channel. Somebody remind me if I don't. Okay, so that's what you're getting yourself into. There's a myriad of reasons, and not all of them are sexual in nature. Non-monogamy, not super well known, and a lot of people, especially those people. There's a lot of people out there like to make fun of it and cast judgment when they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. So we are here today to remove those ignorance. Give those people more information as to what they're talking about and to people that are interested in trying this out. I'm going to tell you in this episode some of the best ways to do that. Not just the best ways, some of the best ways. Once again, do your own goddamn research. Okay, so one of the people that I pulled the source material from, their name is Lola Phoenix. And the article was in October of 2016, so this is about 10 years old now, and still pretty damn relevant. So feel free to read the whole entire article yourself. I like their opinions and what they say, so I'm very much vibing with what they are talking about, especially the little anecdotes that they put in. It's like, yeah, me too, buddy, me too. I feel you right here. Oh, man, such good stuff. Okay. Let's start off here. Every negative feeling you have isn't jealousy. How about that? Shocker. Not all related to jealousy when we're talking about non-monogamy and even monogamy. You could implode your own relationships by trying to control your partner's every move when it becomes your personal mission. So you cannot control somebody's actions, okay? You can't even control their reactions. You can control yours. You control your reactions, can't control your emotions. That's not a thing, so I wish people would stop trying to do that. You can't control your emotions, so why are you trying to control somebody else's emotions? Not possible. You can control your reactions. That's all you have control over, your reactions. That's literally it. And everything, I would argue, is a reaction rather than an action. There's a reason and motivation for you doing things, and that in itself is called a reaction. Negative feelings are sometimes a result of your needs not being met. Yep, not necessarily jealousy. You could just have an asshole as a partner. And once again, we are talking about monogamy and non-monogamy. So these things happen in both relationships. Shocker. You're going to find that a lot happening in this episode right here. It's not so much jealousy or negative feelings that are the problem. It's what you do with them that can make things implode. Ooh, wow. That's so surprising. I'm so surprised, said Julius. No, it's called sarcasm. Okay, confidence can look like compassion. Ooh, not necessarily true. Ability to make you feel special is part of that confidence, but it isn't actual human compassion you're seeing. Can be. Setups where an individual doesn't spend a long time with any one individual but sees them rarely can allow for people who would normally be toxic and difficult to be around have plenty of functional relationships. So confidence can be masked as compassion. They could actually be an asshole and not care about what you're thinking. So just to let you know, better do some more research and deep dive in there. Sometimes having more partners than you know what to do with isn't inherently a sign that you're amazing at non-monogamy, and beginners shouldn't assume so. So, even though somebody has a lot of partners, I will say I've made this mistake on both sides early in my non-monogamy journey, specifically polyamory. And we're going to talk about insecurities here in a little bit. But I will say that just because somebody has a lot of partners doesn't necessarily mean they are confident or knowledgeable or anything like that. So just to let you know, that could be a thing. Okay, communication is hard and terrifying. Whoa. Most relationship advice for anyone, regardless of relationship style, often boils down to this: talk to your partner. I don't know about y'all, but campsters know that there's a thing called Reddit that I'm on a lot, and a lot of people like to voice their stuff on Reddit, and it's like, did you talk to your partner? Why are you blasting this out on the internet when you should just be talking to your partner? That's monogamous and non-monogamous people as well, just so you know. Communication is actually really, really hard, but not for the reasons you would assume. Shocking. Sometimes you have to experience emotional pain before you really understand that you have a boundary or you have a need that isn't being met. Once again, monogamy and non-monogamy. Yeah, establishing boundaries. I will tell you right now, that was very hard for me, especially somebody that does not have an identity. Look that up. Having an identity makes it so you don't know when you're people pleasing or bending your boundaries or even breaking or moving your boundaries to appease somebody else just because you don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers or you want to avoid uncomfortable situations, conflict, some would say. And once you figure out your identity, it is a lot easier to, one, have boundaries and then establish boundaries, even with people you love. Which is very hard because it could be coming in the way of a rejection, could be coming your way, I should say. And that's very uncomfortable, especially if it's a loved one. So that really sucks. But figure out your boundaries and establish them, people. Better way for mental health. Better mental health that way. Asking for what you want isn't easy. Yep. But admitting to your partner that you have a need can be extremely emotionally vulnerable place. Also, hopefully, you're not with an asshole and they validate your feelings. And then hopefully they will work with you to not necessarily, I say negotiate, come to a compromise. It sounds kind of weird, but technically that's what it is. If you've been treated poorly systematically by society or have a history of being abused, it can be really difficult to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable with anyone. And sometimes that takes time, which is totally allowable. Give your partner space, especially if you say you care about them. Give them space. Good Lord, you don't know what somebody's backstory is. I'll keep saying that. Trying to manipulate situations to get what I really wanted. This is Lola here. Well, having to ask for it because asking directly for something you need and being told by someone you care for greatly that they refuse to do it absolutely gut-wrenchingly terrifying. Rejection sucks, especially from a loved one. But then you know they're an asshole. Time to work on it or move on. Do something. The greater the need for any one thing, the less likely to ask directly for it. Yeah, that hill, that wall of ugly you gotta climb to try to get what you want. And it doesn't come easy and it doesn't come fast. It doesn't come easy and it doesn't come fast. It's rough sometimes. Yeah, but if you are with a loved one, you are in a relationship with somebody, why is it so hard? Should that be hard? I would argue that's a no. It shouldn't be hard if you are in a good relationship for yourself. Now, a lot of people don't be like, I don't want to leave them person, blah, blah, blah. But it's like sometimes you have to. I would say it's a time commitment issue. But if that person is not for you, they're not for you. It might be time to go. A relationship is not a skill. People feel ashamed that the relationship has failed. They think it's due to their lack of skill, or they are worried it will appear so. Yeah, that ego thing, that outward part of yourselves that's out there. People think that people will judge them for being out of a relationship. It's like, person, you better go. Better get on out of there. If it ain't working for you, shouldn't matter what other people think. If your life is sucking right now because of this relationship, it's time to do something about it. No one wants to start drama or be seen as bad at relationships. Yep, ego once again. Relationships are partnerships and co-ops. Ending a relationship or having to end it doesn't mean that you're bad at relationships. Skills that can certainly improve, like communication and compassion. Less a sign that someone is bad at something, people would be less worried about looking like a bad ex. All right, Capsters, before we get back to tonight's stories that probably shouldn't be played out loud at work, let's take a second to talk about today's sponsor, which could be you. Look, if you're listening to Around the Kinky Campfire, you're clearly not here for vanilla. You're here for the weird conversations, the spicy confessions, and the kind of stories that make you double-check who's sitting next to you. And that's exactly why today's sponsor fits right in. Whether you're setting the mood, exploring something new, or just trying to turn an ordinary night into something a little more memorable, today's sponsor, which could be you, is here to help make it happen. No judgment, no awkward vibes, just good times and maybe a few decisions you'll be laughing about later. Ha ha! Because let's be honest, sometimes you don't want predictable. Sometimes you want a little tension. a little excitement, maybe even something that makes you say, well, that escalated quickly. And hey, we're not here to judge. No, no, no. Around this campfire, we support curiosity, good stories, and anything that makes life a little more interesting. So go check out today's sponsor, WCBY. Show them some love and help this campfire keep burning, because the more support we get, the more spicy conversations we can bring to you. All right, now where were we? Oh yeah, things were just heating up. Yeah, because you don't have good relationships. Sometimes the least common denominator, not so much bad at relationships, maybe you just haven't figured yourself out. That's that whole identity type thing. Do some self-work in that case, because then that could be why you're getting into bad relationships. I already argue for myself. The more I worked on myself, the better my relationships got, the better the partners I had. I will argue that. That is something I will argue for myself, because in my experience, that's what happened. Okay? Compersion isn't compulsory. So a lot of times when you look up non-monogamy, you hear this word called compersion. Is the fact that you are happy that your partner or somebody else you care about is happy. You delight in their happiness. I will say that it is something that happens with people, not with me necessarily. I'm not there yet, and that's totally fine. That is not something you have to do if you get into non-monogamy. It's once again, icing on the cake. If you can get there, you can get there. That's very nice. Oh, man, which usually leads to you being friends with your metamors, your partner's partners, which is something else you don't need to do. Okay. Hear about your partner having a good date or a good time with somebody and you're filled with happiness and feel glad for them. That is another version of compersion that I do not have. Best way where you experience compersion, no jealousy, no negative emotions, and never have any problems. Now, I will say that you can not be having compersions and also not necessarily have a negative emotion or jealousy. There's something in there. You could just be cool. Yep. Water off a duck's back, as they say. So I will say, yeah, you don't need to get to compersion. I wouldn't say you need to get to a place where you're just cool with everything. It makes it a whole lot mental health for you. I will say that right now. But I'm also one of those people that does not need to know everything that's going on with my partner and their partners. That is something I don't need. So if for my mental health, and one of my boundaries is less information. I don't need to know all that. That's just something I negotiate with partners. The expectation of constant happiness. Monogamous people are allowed to be unhappy and that not reflect badly on monogamy necessarily, but non-monogamous people not necessarily so, which is actual bullshit. It's like, you don't think non-monogamous people are unhappy as well? We gotta be happy all the time? Why did you go back to monogamy? Like, monogamous people are happy? What about the divorce rate there, people? You know it's more than half. What kind of bullshit is that? Like, you can be unhappy in monogamy, but then if you're unhappy in non-monogamy, then it's like, oh, I should have did monogamy. Stupid. Pressure to be happy with partners' other relationships and to be friends with metamors made me anxious and unhappy. Yeah, me too, buddy. That is, once again, information sharing. Don't need to know all that. It's not something you need to know. Yeah, that's it's infuriating when people make that assumption. It's so stupid. Force myself to socially interact with people beyond my personal means. Just blah, blah, blah. Gross. Yeah, that's a stupid generalization that you can't be unhappy in non-monogamy. Everybody's unhappy if you're in a relationship, period. Got to work on that stuff. Got to find out why. Okay. Time and resources are finite. The one thing people say that love is a infinite resource, but time and resources are not. Distance is a thing. I don't know about y'all, but there's this thing called distance, and it is always set. Ain't no place gonna be closer to another place, no matter how much you want to try. If we have a long distance partner and we want to see him more often, but distance is a thing. Sorry, that shit ain't gonna change unless they literally pick their butts off and move closer. Only way that shit happens. So yes, love and emotions can be infinite, but time and distance and other resources are not. Hopefully you win the lottery or one of those people that makes a invention that makes you millions of dollars, and that way you can just go around willy-nilly and seeing people. I, unfortunately, am not one of those people. So financial resources are finite for me as well. Careers or the ability to live with flexible time options, the money to spend on activities, mental and physical energy to socially interact with people without going to a breaking point. Also, what they are talking about here is that your energy is finite as well. There's only so much socializing I can do. There's only so much driving even if I have the gas and the time. It's like a 2-hour trip gonna be a 2-hour trip. Sometimes I ain't got the 2-hour trip in me. And it's totally fine as well. So we need to make a note of that when we're getting into relationships. I have a 2-hour window of drive time for any kind of partnership. Outside of that, it's too much. That's too far. Going more than 2 hours, because you need to come back. So that's 4 hours right there. When you start getting into the 5-hour round trip mark, that's too much. Unfortunately, that's a thing. So, yes, emotions are infinite. But remember, there are finite resources out there when you're talking about any relationship, not just monogamy. It's okay to be unhappy. Agreeing to a non-monogamous relationship means agreeing to a relationship structure where any individual you partner with who does not and cannot reasonably spend all of their time with you. So they say non-monogamous in there, but also monogamy is subject to this. Like when you have a job, or you're a doctor, like you have a job like a doctor or a lawyer, their time is part of their job. So let's not just relegate this to non-monogamy. There are careers that keep you from doing that, or even co-parenting situations. You might not necessarily be with your co-parent anymore, but the child is there, children's, whatever it is, and that takes up time as well. Let's remember that too, people. Not just a non-monogamy thing. Let's see here. All right, so I'm running out of time. Let's see. Okay, so no human is an island. This is where we talk about co-regulation. Society. They put white societies in here and generally reinforce the idea of the individual as important. We've gone away from the tribe mentality. A lot of people are very individualistic. I'll say myself, I have no idea who my neighbors are. I see them over there. I don't have any idea. Couldn't pick them out of a lineup if I got paid. I will say that. So very much assimilated to that myself. But nobody is an island, and hopefully you don't treat your partners that way. Co-regulation. Look it up. Should be doing that whatever relationship you're in. Once again, not just a non-monogamy thing. Helpful for all of it. Sometimes we all need help, and hopefully you can turn to a partner for that. Yep, it's not clingy to have needs. While your partners may not be your therapist, and relying on any individual for all of your emotional support may not be fair. Ultimately, you can have things that you need, and you should vocalize those things. Pretending like you take care of yourself all alone isn't actually going to work. So stuffing it down and not letting anybody know what's going on. I will say, I know for myself, that ended a lot of relationships, not being able to trust a partner and being able to tell them what's going on. Yep, that is rough. Okay, so let me skip a few of these. It should be like 13 in total if my count is correct, but I'm running out of time. Once again, I'll do this as a class, put that up on the YouTube, so please read the article. It's a very good article that they made here. So we'll skip to the end. Last but not least, maybe it's not for you. Maybe non-monogamy is just not for you. Non-monogamy has a way of defying some of the things that are inherent but not exclusive to monogamy. Sometimes it can be freeing to feel like you can flirt without cheating or do what you like. That term is garbage, but yeah, do what you like, quote unquote. And that in turn makes people feel like non-monogamy is inherently better, inherently more egalitarian, inherently more social progressive than monogamy, which is actually bullshit because it's actually a lot more work. Can seem great on paper, but not work in practice for many people, and that's okay too. You can think about it. Like I said, try it out. If you're a new person in non-monogamy, go ahead and try it out. Hopefully you don't ruin any relationships that way. I would say consent and negotiation ahead of time will probably cover your ass, so you should probably do that. Choosing monogamy doesn't mean you choose everything that society can tack onto it. There are many different types of monogamous relationships. Doesn't mean you'll flip out if you choose monogamy if your partner notices somebody else. Doesn't mean you have a problem with your partner having sexual feelings or romantic feelings for somebody else. Once again, that's that self-work shit. So if you having issues with that, you feeling jealousy because your partner, I don't know, watches porn, which is stupid. Stupid people, they getting jealous over porn. You might have some self-work and some insecurities you need to work on. So yeah, work on that shit first. Whatever relationship you're on. Okay, so that's pretty much it. All right, so I hope you apply these lessons to all relationships, not just non-monogamy. This is all relationships. Even if non-monogamy is not for you, there are lessons to be learned from the polyamorous community. So yeah, communication, big thing. Open communication, being honest, being willing to compromise, being willing to negotiate. Because yeah, we all have needs. Hopefully you worked on your identity, know where your boundaries are, and you know what your needs are, and you negotiate that with your partner. Come to some consensual understanding. If you apply this advice to your monogamous relationships, they'll be stronger and more secure. Just so you know, okay? Just so you know, not just non-monogamy. Okay, that is all for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode as well as the last one. I hope to be teaching this at some point soon and getting more in depth with the introductions into non-monogamy. And once again, do your own research. Please send me an email if you have any questions or comments. Hit me up on the social medias and the Instagrams and the YouTubes and all that. Comment below if you're watching the video. And speaking of videos and podcast episodes, Around the Kinky Campfire, new episodes on Thursdays on all the podcast things, and on the YouTubes on Friday. There's a video. You'll see my pretty face. If you are listening to this, go ahead and check out the video. You'll see my background with my flag and the lights that blink somewhat sometimes. Anyways, that's it for now. This is your host, Julius Marquise, or just Julius if you're feeling less fancy. Thank you for listening to this episode, and catch us next time. That's all for now. Hello. That's a wrap for this episode of the Around the Kinky Campfire podcast. We love having you by the fire, and we love to hear from you. Got a kinky question, a steamy story, or a topic you want us to cover? Slide into our DMs and send us a message at Around the Kinky Campfire, campfire with a K, at yahoo.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. Your support helps keep the flames burning and the conversations flowing. Follow us on Twitter, Kinky Campfire, campfire with a K, YouTube, Around the Kinky Campfire, campfire with a K, or Instagram, Campfire Kinksters, campfire with a K. To stay in the loop, join the community and keep the kink alive between episodes on Thursdays. Until next time, stay safe, stay sexy, and keep that fire burning.